Welcome to Country Fried Rock, where we talk with musicians to find out what inspires their creativity. Country Fried Rock. Music uncovered. We apologize for the audio quality on this week's radio show. It's a good conversation. Thanks a bunch for listening. My guest today on Country Fried Rock is Kevin Russell, also known as Shinyribs. Welcome.
Thank you, Sloan. Good to be here.
I'm digging your new record, Gulf Coast Museum. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, it's, the follow-up to Well After a While. It was recorded the same place, basically the same band, produced by my old friend George Reef. Who's done a lot. He's done a lot of last few Ray Wiley records. He's done Lincoln Durham, Band of Heathens, a bunch of others. Great to work with. Great ears, great gear, great bedside manner, as I put it with him. So yeah, we did this sort of piecemeal in between Gourds tours and Shinyribs gigs and kids being out of school and holidays. We just found time here and there to record it when we could. I think we did 11 or 12 songs, but in the end, only 9 of them were worth putting on there. And I've gotten some grief from fans about that. Only 9 songs? But they're 9 really, really good songs. Quality, not quantity. And it's proven that people's attention spans are shrinking.
This record fits right with the previous record, so I'm kind of surprised to hear that it was recorded so piecemeal.
We did a good job with it, and I feel like the way I record anyway, I am old school too. I take a song, and whatever the song needs is what we do. The song sort of dictates how it's recorded and what happens to it in a recording situation. I think there's a lot of bands today who are real stylized or specialized in that way, and they have a sound that people love, and they basically make every song sound like that, which is fine. It's just one way of doing it. I mean, Motown did that too, but for me, I kind of caught into the idea of, I feel like the Stones did that. Each song is sort of, they treated individually. Or the Beatles, they took each song and they made it. The song dictated what would happen, and the performance of the song would sort of suggest what would be added to it next. You might put an instrument on a song, and then it makes you hear something else. So each song has its own creative process.
The continuity came in for you then in working with George.
Yeah. I've known George go way, way back when he was he's been in bands, played with lots of people. We always wanted to be in a band together, play together. We just never could. He was always doing one thing. I always had my bands. And so, in the last few years, gotten to hang out with each other quite a bit. And he knows me really well, and he knows me well enough to where he can tell me how to do things or try a different way of singing. I have certain habits I go to in my singing style, and he's like, I know that voice. He's like, I know that Kevin Russell voice. That's a great Kevin Russell voice. But what about this voice that you do? He'll tell me to think about Conway Twitty or something like that. He knows my little triggers in my brain and how to manipulate my brain into thinking a different way. And then, we'd already made the first record, so we knew kind of going in how it was going to be. He knew better how I worked, and that the band had been playing together these songs for a couple of years, so the band was already pretty comfortable making it, so that gives it a continuity as well, just having the same band.
Country Fried Rock is a proud sponsor of Front Porch Fest, coming to Stewart, Virginia, August 30th through September 1st. Get your tickets now at frontporchfest.com.
Hey, this is Kevin Russell from Shinyribs. This is the Country Fried Rock.
How does that work if you're developing the songs live and then taking them to record?
Yeah, that's tricky. It's tricky because some songs, they just happen live. And there's a song on here, Sweet Potato, that we played live. We've been playing it live for 5 years or something. And people love that song. Some people, it's their favorite song we do. A lot of people were disappointed it wasn't on the first record. We tried to record it, but it's just one of these songs that you just have to capture the right performance of it. And it's not easy to do in a studio because you're in a club with people and there's a whole collective chemistry going on in a live performance. There's the whole visual part of it and the climate, whatever it's hot or it's cold in there, whatever it is. There's all these different elements that come into play that influence a live show, that influence how you experience a live show. And you don't have any of that when you're in a studio. You're just, you're in a comfortable house with hanging out. Everybody's relaxed. It's kind of hard to find some of the edges you get in a live performance. So you just have to keep trying and recording some of them. That was one song we did a few different takes of it, trying to find the right feel, trying to get the right performance of it, and I think we got a good one.
It's a much more delicate song than, I mean, if that's the right word to use, than some of the others.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. There's some subtleties to it. You know, there's also live, it can turn into a total guitar fest. I can get off on my Guitar Hero trip, however ham-fisted it may be. But, you know, in the studio, it's like, well, I know I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go off and do some crazy law. I'm not Neil Young. I mean, Neil Young got away with that. But that's Neil Young. You know, it's different. There's no way I'm going to play anything that's halfway as interesting for that long on the electric guitar. So I have to be honest with myself.
Did you bring in some additional background vocals on this one?
There's some, yeah. A lot of them I did myself, but there's two different women we used on this. Sally Allen sings on the first song, Sweeter Than the Scars, and she sang on the first record on Shores of Galilee.
Okay.
And she's a great singer, songwriter in her own right, and we love to work with her. She's great person. Girl, I didn't know at the time there were some other female parts on some of these songs, and, you know, while I was touring and stuff, George would have people come in to do that. So he had Brandy Zidane come in and sing on Take Me to Lake Charles, and then the harmony on If You Don't Know Me By Now, and Harold Melvin and Blue Note song. Man, it's blew my mind.
Yeah.
Just like, wow, she's so great. So, and again, she has her own act. She's a songwriter, singer, and doing her thing around Austin. She's also plays with the Trishas. Those were the two other singers we had. Most of all the other harmonies, I think I did myself, or maybe the other guys, maybe I can't remember now who did what. We didn't have too many outside musicians on this one. We did on the first one, but on this one we kept it pretty much in-house. It was for quicker, more efficient use of time.
We'd love to share with you our free compilation album, the Country Fried Rock Collection Volume 1. All the songs were donated for the benefit of Nucci Space, a nonprofit organization helping prevent musician suicide in Athens, Georgia. Please consider a donation to Nucci Space. 100% of the money you donate goes directly to their services. Enjoy, y'all.
It's Kevin Russell from Shinyribs. Come see me on the Twitter and the Facebook.
But how does it work for you having different projects for your music to go into?
Well, there has been some overlap. You know, I just do what I do. I don't really think about who's going to get what when I'm doing it. You know, I don't think that. Pretty much, I mean, Shinyribs is my primary creative outlet at this point. It's just my thing. So I think about, I'm writing a song, so I'm writing it for me, basically. And so there's a few Shinyribs songs that became Gourds songs on the last couple of Gourds records. Country Love was at one time a Shinyribs song. I think Want It So Bad, and a couple of the ones off the most recent record were Shinyribs songs. But, you know, that's just, you know, if there's a Gourds project comes up, then I'll just take some of my best songs from wherever, you know, wherever they are. If I'm doing with Shinyribs, or if I have them laying around, you know, whatever, I'll just go find some songs, whatever works best, you know, for that.
It's not as segmented then for you?
No, I don't really think of it that way. I mean, it's just the songs are the songs I do, and, you know, I have to remember. Like, I've written songs that I don't remember. Like, I remember that I don't remember them. They're somewhere. I know there's this song. It was really good. Oh, but what notebook is it in? Where is it in my voice recordings? You know,
right.
That's kind of how I do it. My process is I just write when I write. Usually, it's in the mornings when the kids are at school, and, you know, I'm alone, and I can just kind of let things happen. So I'll play some instrument. It could be a piano. It could be a ukulele, it could be mandolin, it could be guitar, whatever. Or it could be just walking around the house, making up songs in my head, you know. And when sometimes a melody like that will come, and then I'll sit down and figure out a chord progression for it. And then I'll record it on my iPhone as my voice recorder. I used to carry around those cassette voice recorders. Anyway, so I capture them that way, and then I'll go back and listen. I have tons of ideas, and I'll just find one that sort of resonates with me. Or I'll finish a song out if I like it enough. Or one day I'll have 3 or 4 ideas, and the next day I'll pick one of those, flesh it out, arrange it, and turn it into a finished song. So that's pretty much how I do it. I do it for total pleasure. I love probably a few things I love more than doing that. So gratifying, you know.
How do you keep track of them?
I don't keep track of it. It's terrible. But I know years ago, my friend Mike Stewart, he's like, a guy like you, you know, it's going to be really important as you go along what your cataloging system. I'm not a librarian, so
right.
My wife's a librarian. Maybe she should help me. I keep pretty good track of it. I mean, there's somewhere, like now it's all digital. It's in the computer. So there's somewhere in my computer, in my iTunes or in my somewhere. There's somewhere in there. I know I back up my phone all the time. And, they're out there. Sometimes, I have friends, too, who record shows, and a lot of times they've brought me songs or played me songs that I don't even remember that I played at some show years ago. They're like, dude, this song is awesome. And I'm like, wow, who wrote that? And they're like, this is you, man.
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, wow, that's really good. I feel like if a song is good enough, I'll remember it. That's another test. Hey, this is Kevin Russell from Shinyribs. You can find out everything you want to know about me and other things at Shinyribs.org. We're a charity case.
What's happening for you all now that the record's been out for a little bit?
Well, we are on our first real national tour, just not a long tour. I don't go out for very long stretches of time, but we're testing the waters of Shinyribs in places outside of Texas and Oklahoma, which is pretty exciting, and it's going pretty well out here. It's about like I thought it would be. I don't know how much I'll tour with this group, but it's a great band, and I love getting it in front of people and surprising people with it, because it really is a top-notch band, and people never know what to expect. It's just so fun to watch people's eyes light up and watch their smiles, and then they start dancing, and then they just are swept away, and it's a really magical show.
How did y'all hook up with each other?
Well, me and Keith are in the Gourds together. He plays drums. Keith Langford, and Jeff Brown plays bass. I met him, produced a record for he and his brother. They have a band called the No Show Ponies, and I produced a record for them years ago. Met him that way. And when I needed a bass player, he offered his services, luckily. And he's awesome. And met him, the keyboard player, Winfield Cheek, met him through Jeff. He was in Jeff's band, the No Show Ponies, for a while. And that's kind of how I met him.
What do you all have on tap through the summer?
We are going to play Pickathon, which I'm really excited about getting this band there. And we're also playing the Sisters Folk Festival in Oregon as well.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about those. And then those are the high points of the summer, and we'll be doing some touring around those both. In October, we're playing the ACL Fest in Austin.
Yes.
Pretty excited about that.
Never miss a radio show from Country Fried Rock. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Just search Country Fried Rock.
Mm-hmm. All right. Kevin Russell, Shinyribs. You want to talk to me? Hit me on the Facebook, Shinyribs, Twitter, Shinyribs, SoundCloud, Shinyribs. Come on. Shinyribs.org, Shinyribs.
When y'all are on the road together, what do you listen to?
We don't listen to a lot of music. When we do listen to music, often it's a lot of soul music. I'm a Spotify person, so I make all these crazy playlists, which I love to do. It's kind of a return to the comp tape thing where you can just make any kind of playlist you want, and I love to do that. So country music, soul music. We were listening to the Stones yesterday, Keith Richards' solo record. We listened to Steely Dan recently because we were talking about Steve Gadd and studying the Steve Gadd beat, the Mozambique beat, which is late in the evening, Paul Simon beat. And Winfield started talking about Steve Gadd playing on this Steely Dan record called Asia. So we listened to that when we were in Pittsburgh, driving around Pittsburgh. Not my cup of tea, but it was interesting, so everybody comes from a very varied taste in music, so we'll just listen to anything, really.
Do they continue to change for you as you take them on the road?
Yeah, they do. I really like Bob Dylan's way of doing things where you can play a song one way forever and then just completely change it one night and just do it completely different. Maybe not without even telling the band. Either just start doing it different. They have to figure it out. I think that's a fun thing to do. It's good for the show. It's good for the energy of the band. That makes them listen. You have to listen to each other. Like, wait a minute, it's an moment on stage. And moments on stage, musicians hate them, but audiences, it creates an energy that audiences love. That not knowing what's going to happen energy that comes off the stage, I think that's why Bob Dylan does that. I don't do it like he does. He's obsessive about it, so yeah. But here and there, they do change, some lyrics will change, because you still think it's always a work in progress. It can easily change. And I don't want to do one thing the same way forever. It gets stale at that point. So Sometimes you have to stop doing songs just to give a break from it. But yeah, it's like a Twilight Zone moment.
I'm always fascinated by that because I've been amazed at the people who tell me, songs, living, breathing thing that continue to change, and people who are like, nope, once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on the kind of people they are, who live their life that way. They don't want anything to change. They're creatures of habit, methodical people, and then there are people who are just random, kind of fly by the seat of their pants, improvisational people. Like my wife, she's more of a planner, and I'm more of a kind of like, well, have a loose plan, but be flexible, because no plan is ever going to go according to what you wanted it to be. It's not. You cannot control the world around you, so you have to be able to improvise, and that's kind of what that means. I think they're just different types of personalities who they're just not going to, for whatever reason, a lot of musicians and performers, they like having it scripted, because they're on stage. They have some stage fright probably. They're not good at making things up really, other than what they've already done. So, it just makes them feel more secure to know they have a map for it. They don't have to vary from that. There's a lot of people like that. And some people it's worked. I mean, to a certain degree I do that. There's certain things I say about each song. It varies from night to night and it changes over time. And, it just depends on time and place. But I think variety is the spice of life. The thing about the Shinyribs is that we are a lot like the Gourds in the way that we're genre-defying. We don't play one genre of music. I mean, we do. We could say we are truly Americana in that we pull from all different American styles of music, from rap, R&B, to country. Like Winfield told a lady recently, he goes, we play everything from T-Pain to Conway Twitty.
That's awesome.
And so we are all over the map. I wouldn't have it any other way, really. Western music, is only 8 notes. Most things will fit together if you think a little bit about it. Be willing to sort of nip and tuck it here and there. Hey, this is Kevin Russell from Shinyribs. This new record we got, Gulf Coast Museum. You've got to hear it, man. Check it out. You can get it. Shinyribs.org, 9milerecords.com, Spotify, iTunes, all that. Just go get it.
I love your concert posters you make.
I just taught myself enough Photoshop to be able to do that. And I just think of crazy ideas depending on what town I'm going to. Then I think about that town and what would be fun, thematic thing to use. Like Chicago, I did the musical Chicago. I put my head on top of Richard Gere's, standing between those two girls. Funny.
They're hilarious.
Yeah, they're really hilarious. I was thinking about making a whole book of all those because there's some really good ones. I did one, me and Mark Twain, I'm going to do for the St. Louis show.
Very cool. Well, I really appreciate your time chatting, and y'all have safe travels.
Thanks, Sloan. Great talking.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Country Fried Rock, music uncovered. Find our full playlist at countryfriedrock.org. You can subscribe to our weekly podcast on iTunes. Just search Country Fried Rock. Our theme music is from The Heap. Check them out at heapdeluxe.com. That's HEAPDELUXE. Our Country Fried Rock stinger is from Steve Soto and the Twisted Hearts. Country Fried Rock. Copyright 2013 by Lilypad Productions. All rights reserved. Country Fried Rock is a partnership with the nonprofit Florence Regional Arts Alliance. Your donations to this program are tax-deductible to the extent you are eligible under U.S. law. Country Fried Rock radio programs are distributed to public radio through the Public Radio Exchange, prx.org.
Ever he been helping us some country fried rock.